Hello, first graders. Happy Monday. I hope you had a great weekend. We are coming back to Mouse and Mole, upstairs mouse, downstairs mole, and we are going to read the last chapter today called The Boat. But before we read, I want us to go back and think about these two friends and what we've learned from them in the first three chapters. So in the first chapter, that was called Clean and Tidy. And remember how the problem was that Mouse was sweeping her house, sweeping the dirt down into Mole's hole. And so they worked together to solve that problem, and they both helped each other sweep their homes out. And then chapter 2 was called The Invitations, and Mole invited Mouse to come down to his hole, but Mouse didn't like it because it was too dark and she didn't like the worms that Mole was feeding her. And then Mouse invited Mole to go up to her house, and he didn't like it up there because it was too bright. And he didn't like her choice in food, which was the cheese. So chapter 3 is when they solved that problem, and they both realized that the other didn't like their hole or their home, and so then they gave each other gifts. And that's why it's called Kind Good Neighbors, because they were so thoughtful. Mole gave Mouse 2 candles, so when she came down to visit him, she would light the candles and she'd be able to see. And then Mouse gave Mole sunglasses that he could wear when he visited her. And that was probably my favorite chapter so far, because I thought that was so nice of them to get each other those gifts, and that was thoughtful. So now here we are. We're on the last chapter, and it's called The Boat. But before we start reading, I want to talk about the learning target and what I want you to learn today in this as we read. So here's the learning target, and it says, I'm learning to find the story's lesson so I can use them in my life. And there's many times that authors write stories to teach the readers lessons, and then we can use that in our own life. So as we read this last chapter today, I want you to think about these things. Think about the characters, Mouse and Mole, and then think about, how did the trouble get fixed? What did the characters learn? And how did the characters feel? And often if you think about this, that you can think of a lesson that we can learn. And then you're going to share that life lesson with your family at the end of the video. So here we go. We're going to upstairs mouse, downstairs mole, and we need to, there we go, here we go, the boat. Mole knocked on Mouse's door. Tap, tap, tap. Good morning, Mole, said Mouse. Good morning, Mouse, said Mole. I hope you like surprises. I love surprises, squeaked Mouse. Don't tell, let me try to guess. It has to do with water, whispered Mole. Mouse twirled her tail. It had not rained in 2 days. The flowers in the garden were starting to droop. See the flowers here? They're leaning over, and that means they are starting to droop because they haven't had water. She hopped up and down on one foot. Is it a rain dance? Guessed Mouse. Nope, not a rain dance. Mouse waved her arms back and forth as if she were casting a line. Are we going fishing then? No, not fishing either, said Mole. Mouse scratched her ears. She was hot from hopping up and down. Her arms were tired from waving back and forth. Swimming? She squeaked hopefully. Wrong again, said Mole. Follow me. They hiked along the path to the pond. There in the water was a boat. Surprise! shouted Mole. My, what a beautiful boat, said Mouse. I have only one paddle, though, said Mole. No problem, said Mouse. We'll take turns. Good thinking, Mole smiled. Off they went. Mole paddled and paddled. Then he paddled some more. His arms were getting sore. They had passed the willow tree 3 times. I think we are going in circles, said Mouse. Here, let me try. Mouse paddled and paddled. Then she paddled some more. Soon Mouse's arms began to ache. They passed the willow tree 3 more times, only now they were headed in the opposite direction. You're right, Mouse, said Mole. We are definitely going in circles. Both Mouse and Mole were hot and tired from all the paddling. Let's go for a swim, suggested Mole. They dove into the water. Mouse splished, Mole splashed. How refreshing. They climbed back into the boat. Mouse twirled her tail. Mole rubbed his snout. I have an idea, squeaked Mouse. Why not switch paddling more often? Good thinking, Mole chuckled. At least we won't tire as easily. Pretty soon Mouse and Mole were zipping across the pond. When they reached the other side, it was time to turn around. Mouse and Mole were experts at turning around. Ouch! Squeaked Mouse. Something is nibbling on my tail. She yanked it out of the water. A fish flopped into the boat. Way to go, said Mole. Our first fish. Mouse and Mole hopped up and down in celebration. They waved their arms back and forth at the sky. Then it began to rain. The next day, Mouse knocked on Mole's door. Tap, tap, tap. I have a surprise for you, whispered Mouse. Let me guess, Mole clapped. Like Mouse, he too was fond of surprises. It has to do with pears, she said. Do you mean pears like on a tree? Asked Mole. Or pears like mittens? Like mittens, said Mouse, only not mittens. Mole rubbed his snout. He kicked the dirt with his feet. A claw poked out of one shoe. Is it shoes or socks? Guessed Mole. Nope, not shoes, not socks, said Mouse. She disappeared behind the tree. Okay, I want you to stop and think. What do you think is Mouse's surprise? Tell your family the prediction now. Okay, let's keep reading and see if your prediction is true. Surprise! Out jumped Mouse. She handed Mole a paddle decorated with ribbons. Now we have a pair of paddles. A pair, said Mole, like you and me. Together they hopped up and down, dancing in circles around the oak tree. Mole waved the paddle back and forth at the sky. Plip, plop. Down came the rain once again. Mouse and Mole's garden never looked better. The end. Okay, kiddos, so now I want you to think about the whole book, not just about this chapter, but the whole book. And think about all the things that these two friends, Mouse and Mole, have done together. And I want you to think, what important life lesson do you think the author wants us to learn about friendship? So I'm going to think back on this book. And remember how this book reminded us about Frog and Toad? And I feel like there's similar life lessons that these authors wanted us to learn. Um, I'm going to these are some of the things that I'm thinking about. Maybe it might be about teamwork, or maybe how they help each other. I want you to do some more thinking. And then you're going to tell your family, what do you think this author wanted us to learn? And then use in our own life. Because we can learn from books and use those life lessons in our own life. I love that. That's so cool. Okay, kiddos, um, remember, all the books that you read from now on, you can be thinking about this, about the life lesson at the end of every book. And you can be thinking, I wonder what the author wants us to learn in this book. What lesson? Okay, so it's head sprout time. And remember, you're going to go to that tree house and you're going to finish a whole episode, which means you start at the map and you click on the number of the episode that you're on, and then you go all the way until it brings you back to the map again, and then you know you've done a whole episode. And then remember to record yourself reading a book. We love listening to you all read. Okay, kiddos, have a great day and have a great week.